We are officially living in a world where the women have the same number of singles titles on the main roster. That's right, the Intercontinental Championship is getting a women's variant and it's being dished out on Raw the same way the US title is happening on SmackDown. Raw will be doing a tournament. I believe it's starting right after the Survivor Games PLE. So naturally, we need to figure out exactly who needs this title the most. I say it like that because I think it's weird to say someone needs a title, but that's an argument for another day. Trying to predict this is kind of tough though. I went ahead and looked at the women's roster over on Raw, and I ran into some complications fairly quickly. I'm going to go down a list of a few women that I think could variably have a good chance of winning this title. Some of them you're going to think I'm crazy, but I think they're worth mentioning specifically because of a key detail. Now, first and foremost, I want to give my pick, which is going to be Dakota Kai. Dakota is not someone that I have mentioned a ton on this channel. She is someone that has grown on me just from kind of watching her step into the role of the mouthpiece for Damage Control when she came back from injury. If you don't remember, she was out for quite some time. When she came back, she wasn't quite cleared to participate in a match, but she was becoming a mouthpiece and being a little more vocal and part of the storyline when Bayley was starting the whole split and then the feud with Io going into WrestleMania. What I learned from that is that she absolutely can carry herself on the microphone, whether it be for herself or a teammate. I really think that she could be someone that could throw a title on one hand, hold a microphone in another, and really put on a good feud. I actually think it works in her favor that Damage Control has kind of almost out of nowhere flipped to babyface, just because I just feel like it could fit her character so well, because I feel like she does have a pretty strong amount of support from the IWC and just the wrestling community in general. Believe me, I've seen plenty of you online talking about how badly you want her to get her shot, and I really think this could be the perfect opportunity to do that. Does this mean that she would necessarily have to split from Damage Control? I don't think so. The only reason why I would even say that is because I challenge you, go over and look at the women's roster right now on Raw. There's not a lot of names. I mean, there's a good chunk of names, but when you look at how many are already heavily involved in the main event scene, so you look at a Liv Morgan, you look at a Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, should she come back, they're all listed on Raw, but they're not going to be going after the Intercontinental title. Then you've got a handful of women that are pretty heavily involved in the tag department, like Kaden Carter, Katana Chance, Alba Fire, Isla Dawn. I don't see them just suddenly splitting off from their team or going after this. I could see them in the tournament as a body, assuming they're going to do the triple threat format, just like SmackDown did. So that could work just to get them some on-screen time. But generally, I only think there's a handful of names that we can actually discuss here. And rather than just throw them out there and give my opinion, I want to reach out to some of you guys. I posted on Twitter and I also posted on the YouTube community tab who you thought should get their shot at this. And I'm going to pull one from each of the names that I saw and let you speak your case, and we'll use that to kind of have this conversation. Really quick, if you're watching this the week it came out, the Patreon is actually 50% off right now through the end of the week. Go to patreon.com/Deporticus and then use code DEPORT50 at checkout and you'll get 50% off the base or the max tier. Or just go check out the free content, that works too. But anyway, Dayful nominates Kairi Sane. She's an excellent singles wrestler, but hasn't been given opportunities on the main road roster and could bring out the treasure chest again. Kairi is someone that I think I could see maybe winning it later, maybe competing for it later. I think she's really going to struggle because anytime she has been on the mic, there is the obvious language barrier. And I don't think that means you can't be a champion, but with the title being brand new and all, I imagine they're going to want to flaunt it. I imagine they're going to want to have a lot of promos with it. And I could just see that being a bit of a barrier if you're not actually able to promote it yourself. Now, I will say that if she's still affiliated with Dakota Kai, who is obviously already been shown to be a mouthpiece for Damage Control, then maybe we could get around that issue. When it comes to the in-ring talent, I have no issue. Yeah, she's had some iffy spots ever since she actually made her return, but I've seen some of the best of Kairi Sane on the Patreon, and I've also seen some pretty great moments from her in her return. Nobody has a better looking flying elbow than her. When it comes to the language barrier thing, I could be totally wrong. That's just me going off an assumption that that's how they would want to promote the title, with a lot of promos, with a lot of in-ring back and forth. I could be totally wrong on that. And like I said, she's got the mouthpiece, so that might just be a moot point. I would be okay with this. Bruno says, Lyra Valkyria is a good shout out. She has great matches this year, and even though she ain't the best on the mic, she had a pretty decent NXT title reign this year. Now, originally I would have said I don't really think there's a shot because she hasn't been on TV much, but if you look in recent episodes, she has been featured in some just random vignettes, some random video edits, almost kind of reintroducing her character. This could be a sign, if you want to look deep into that, this could be a sign that the WWE is trying to remind everyone that Lyra exists because something like this is coming up. I have loved her in the ring, and I can't believe that she didn't die when she faced Nia Jax. That Annihilator actually looked like it could have punched her right through the mat. So props for her for not breaking any ribs on that and being able to sell that as well as she did. I've only seen her work on the main roster, but from what I've seen, she's an excellent in-ring worker. And I think you're right. She is kind of simple and basic on the mic. It's a very safe cadence, I guess you could say. It's a very generic cadence. I wouldn't really say she has much personality put into her mic work yet, but pure talent wise and just her character look and everything, I think she'd look great with a title. John says Naomi has the most experience out of all the ladies gunning for it, and she has the recognizability factor. You want to kick off this reign with a young up and comer, sure, 100%, but putting it on a solid worker with an amazing personality and years of experience can't hurt. I'm only including this one because I've seen a lot of you suggest Naomi for this, but I don't really understand why she's being suggested. She's not listed on the Raw roster, and yeah, you could say that they move from roster to roster all the time, but she was already listed in the tournament for the US title. I would be really surprised if they had somebody in both tournaments. So as much as it would be cool to see Naomi with a title or even make it to the final, I don't think it's possible. So I'm only mentioning this one because there was a handful of you that kept saying Naomi. Maybe I'm missing something, so correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't think she's eligible. JB says Zelina Vega, she's super underappreciated, and a nice little tournament run capped off with a big title win and a decent length run will allow her to prove to everyone just how good she is. I, as of recently, am very much in agreement with you. Zelina Vega is someone who kind of just blended into the crowd for me and just kind of always being around the NPCs or the LWO, never really being featured in any sort of an interesting story. But after watching some matches on the Patreon, I saw that it wasn't even her matches, by the way. She was just a support character for Andrade. She was standing on the side of the ring, and you could just see her as a heel was actually really cool. It was something that I don't normally see in her babyface work. Now, obviously, I've seen her in some matches, and I've got no issue with her in-ring work. It's nothing absolutely crazy, in my opinion, but I think she absolutely could pull off an Intercontinental Championship run. I haven't gotten to see a ton of her mic work yet, but the little that I've seen has actually been really good, especially when she was kind of forcing herself an involvement with the Liv Morgan feud just recently with Rhea. If you remember when that was kind of kicking off, she was kind of just putting herself in it and just kind of getting in the conversation a little bit, and she had some good sass. I liked it. I'm with you. Zelina Vega would be a pretty solid pick. Ryan B says Zoe Stark or Shayna Baszler because the PFC is incredible. Congrats, you're in the video. Now, you think you're making a joke there, but I'm actually going to make a case for Zoe Stark, and just give me 2 seconds, and you'll see where I'm coming from. I do not believe that Zoe Stark is going to win the Intercontinental Championship. I will say I could very well see her in the final. And who knows, if you make it to the final, then maybe they wouldn't be against putting it on you. But why would I put her in the final? Well, do me a favor and go look at the Raw women's roster and tell me exactly how many heels you can find that would actually go for a mid-card title. I'll wait. Didn't take long, did it? From what I can find, the only two viable heels that make sense that are not already in a tag team, not already going for the main event scene, you're looking at Zoe Stark and Ivy Nile. That's right. I'm also making a minor case for Ivy Nile here. Now, I know a lot of you like to hate on Zoe just because of PFC especially, and a lot of you would say she doesn't really have much character, and I'll give you, she has not developed her character as well as I think that she can, but I do think she is going to end up being a top heel over time. I just love her in-ring work so much. I think she has a great look that I think a little bit of mic cleanup would go a ton for her. Ivy Nile has a great look. A lot of people like her, even though she's kind of being a heel now with this American Made, and she's fantastic in the ring. That could be another person that I could just see be the heel to the babyface in this tournament. And if your final is expected to probably be a babyface versus a heel, who else other than Zoe or Ivy Nile would be a solid pick to be in the final, be able to keep up in that match, put on a great show for that inaugural championship? If I'm missing someone, please let me know. But I looked, Dakota and Io Sky, both people that a lot of people have been mentioning, both are really acting as babyfaces. Same with Kairi. The whole damage control thing kind of flipped to babyface in recent weeks. And yeah, I haven't really mentioned Io Sky here because I don't think she's going to end up going for the mid-card title. If she does, totally in support, by the way. I want to make that very clear. Maybe I shouldn't just gloss over Io Sky here. I really think she would be a phenomenal pick for this, but I would really love to see her actually go for the women's heavyweight title. I really think that that's where she should be. It just feels like Io Sky is a main eventer, future Hall of Famer. It's not that I think that going for the IC title would be any sort of a waste of time. If anything, she would elevate that title. That's just not where I picture her right now. But maybe you see something I don't. Feel free to tell me I'm right, wrong, or anything in between. Leave a comment. Let me know who you believe is going to be the first women's IC title holder. I would appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribed if you already haven't. Thank you so much to the patrons that are flying up the screen. I will see you in the next video.